Welcome into the AHSAA Weekly. I'm John Holder. This is your weekly inside look at everything happening with the Alabama High School Athletic Association. Coming up on this week's show, we're going to take you to Greenville. The head coach of the Greenville High School Tigers, Josh McClendon, joins us to talk about the AHSAA WOTM Game of the Week this week, which will be his Greenville Tigers traveling over to Pike County to take on the Charles Henderson Trojans Thursday night at 7 p.m. right here live on WOTM from Veterans Memorial Stadium on the Troy University campus in Troy. Also this week, we will introduce to you the Class 1A Making a Difference Award winner, Francis Marion's Kathy Trimble. We'll also have our look at this week's board member of the Central Board of Control of the Alabama High School Athletic Association. That is Vice President of the Central Board, Mike Welch from Spring Garden High School in Cherokee County. And we will also have tons of volleyball and football highlights from around the state of Alabama from last week's contest. All of that and more on this week's edition of the AHSAA Weekly.
Home making you sick? Ox Foundation Solutions can remedy any mold or mildew problem in your home. Get a free estimate from Ox Foundations. It's time to get strong. OxStrong.com.
Back on the AHSAA Weekly, coming up on this week's AHSAA WOTM Game of the Week. You know, last week we gave you some East Alabama football. This week we're going to take you Thursday night at 7 o'clock to give you some South Alabama football. We've got a tremendous matchup. We're going to region play, Class 5A Region 2, longtime rivals Greenville and Charles Henderson doing battle at Veterans Memorial Stadium in Troy Thursday night live statewide here on WOTM. And at this point in time, we're going to take you to Greenville to speak with the head coach of the Greenville High School Tigers, Coach Josh McClendon. Coach, glad to have you with us this week on the AHSAA Weekly.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Coach, I see you there in the indoor facility at Greenville. Tell us about preparations this week, getting ready for a Thursday night game with longtime rival Charles Henderson.
Well, it's been a good week. We started preparation last week. We didn't have a game, so we started preparing a little early. I felt like we've had a good days of practice, so looking forward to Thursday night and hopefully having a good night then.
You know, you are 2-0. One of those, as you mentioned, was a forfeit win, but you're 2-0. A lot of momentum going into this game. Tell us what we can expect out of your Greenville football team. What have you seen out of your team so far in this young 2020 season?
Well, I don't know. I didn't really know what to expect. We didn't get any summer competition. We didn't get any spring football. So, going into the first game, I didn't really know what to expect. So pleasantly surprised. I thought we were able to run the ball effectively. Didn't do a whole lot offensively. Defensively, did a good job of creating some turnovers. And, anytime you can get a shutout victory is always a good thing.
Coaches, our viewers out there will be watching from all across the state of Alabama. Who are a couple of guys that they might need to be on the lookout for Thursday night in your game with Charles Henderson?
Well, we've got a couple of guys. Defensively, we started at D-line with Nabrandian Jackson. He's a good 3-year starter for us. Linebackers are led by Robert Hall. And then in the secondary, we got Kadarius Aaron, who's been a 3-year starter also. Offensively, we start running the ball up front with our center, Ja'Cory Shepard, and everything kind of rotates around him. So, we'll see what we got offensively. We're just going to try to do our thing and, hopefully have a good night.
As you open up 5A Region 2 play with Charles Henderson, you've played Charles Henderson more than any other team in school history. This is a rival game. This is the 73rd meeting between Charles Henderson and Greenville. So not only opening up the region play, but also opening up with a very familiar opponent, to say the least. I think things probably exciting around the Greenville campus this week.
Yeah, it's always a big game when you play Charles Henderson. They're probably our closest game as far as travel goes. Like you said, we've played them more than anybody, so it goes way back. It's a lot of rivalry there, so it's always a good game. They always play us hard. We always play them hard, so it ought to be a good game.
Coach, what are your impressions? What do you know? I know it's early. They've only played one game, just like you have. Your early impressions of Charles Henderson?
Well, it's like they always are. They're well coached. Coach McCoy does a good job over there. You know, they play hard. I know they're going to play hard. They've got good kids over there, and they're physically, you know, good as far as getting to the ball defensively. And, you know, offensively, they're going to be multiple on offense and throw the ball around a little bit. Got some athletes out on the outside. So a lot like we are, you know, real similar to the way we play. So it should be a good game.
Coach, when you go all the way back to 1984, when we expanded from 4 classes to 6 classes and came up with this first ever Class 5A, I think if you ask football observers around the state of Alabama to start naming top 5A football programs over these last 30 or 35 years or so, I think Greenville is very much on that list of top programs. A lot of tradition at Greenville. Tell folks about Greenville football and the awesome tradition you have there in Butler County.
Yeah, it started in '84 with Wayne Woodham. He kind of got things going. And, yeah, Willis Wright comes in '87, wins the state championship. Gene Allen follows him in '93 and '94 with the state championship appearances. So, like you said, 35, 40 years of good football. You know, I've been a part of this program as long as I can remember. My dad was Booster Club president for, 20 years. So it's something that means a lot to the community. You've got guys that go through high school, and these are the glory days, and we've had some really good players come out of our program, something that we're really proud of. So, like you said, a lot of tradition here, a lot of feelings on Friday night as far as the community goes, and we're excited to be able to play on Thursday and Friday nights.
Coach, thank you so much for the time. Thank you for your contributions to the awesome tradition there at Greenville High School with the Tigers. And we look forward to showing off that great tradition of Greenville High School football to the entire state coming up Thursday night at 7 from Troy here on WOTM and the AHSAA TV network. Thank you for the time this week, Coach.
Thank you.
Coach Josh McClendon, head coach of the Greenville High School Tigers, getting set for kickoff Thursday night right here on the AHSAA and WOTM with Charles Henderson from Veterans Memorial Stadium in Troy.
Things a little bumpy in your driveway? Ox Foundation Solutions has the expertise and the know-how to repair cracks, wet basements and crawl spaces, and uneven floors in your home. It's time to get strong. oxstrong.com.
Welcome back to the AHSAA Weekly. Of course, this year, the Alabama High School Athletic Association naming a Making a Difference Award winner in all 7 classifications. This week, we're going to meet the winner for Class 1A, Kathy Trimble of Francis Marion High School.
I wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to go into broadcasting. And when I got to middle school and I started playing athletics, my high school or my junior high coach at the time was very influential. I saw a lady that was very short, but very powerful, that really inspired students and inspired me. So whereas I wanted to do journalism and broadcasting, I changed and decided that I wanted to do education because I wanted to be a middle school basketball coach. My father talked to me and he was saying, you're so smart. What do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, well, I want to be a PE teacher. And he was like, there's so many things you can be. And you decided to be a PE teacher, you can be a doctor. I said, Dad, I know I could be a doctor, but my coach was influencing me so much that I said, no, I really want to be a PE teacher. So I decided to be a PE teacher because I wanted to coach on the junior high level because I saw what it did for me at that age and how it made a difference in my life. And at that age, I feel like students are very impressionable. They're learning, they aren't stuck in their ways yet. So I think it's a time where, you could really make a difference. So that's what I really, really wanted to do. And my coach really inspired me to do that. And eventually I went on to receive a terminal degree, my doctorate degree, not because I wanted to be called doctor, but I wanted to prove to my dad, yes, I could be a doctor. Yes, but I wanted to be a coach. First of all, the rewards is the fact that I am from Marion, I am from Perry County. I am a graduate of Francis Marion School, and I always say God has a sense of humor. Had no desire to go back to Francis Marion or go back to Marion at all. I got married when I was in college, and my husband got his first coaching job at a school. He came home and said, I'm offered a job at a place, the coach said I probably wouldn't know anything about, in Marion, Alabama, at Francis Marion, and he knew that I had graduated from there. So that's how I ended up there. But having opportunities to go other places, we've spent our entire career there because it's so rewarding to be able to give back to your own community, to where you came from, your own school. The challenges is because it's such a rural school, there's very little economic development there. We lack a lot in resources, but we make the most of what we have. So those have been some challenges that we do have, but anyway, we make the most of it. Actually, what happened is when I finally became a coach, I took over from Maxine Coley, who was my coach at Francis Marion, and she went on to become an administrator. Well, anybody knows Maxine Coley knows that she has a way of doing things. She knows everybody by name, not only every student, everybody in the town, in the community, probably in the whole state of Alabama, if you ask me. But I watched Miss Coley in how it affected everybody for her to be so personable. And that influenced me as well. So that's one thing that I learned from her. And I made it my business to not only know all of my athletes, but to know every student. And then not only that, see what I could do to help every student in whatever capacity that they're in need of. And so many students, as you know, as I said, being from the area that we are, have so many different needs. So it was my job to not only know their names, but to find out what their needs were and try to help to meet their needs. Being in ministry, as my husband has been, what we do is every year, when it comes down to, even when I was a coach, every year when it comes down to the playoff time, we have a church service for our athletes. And not only that, another thing that we did was when I was coaching, the nights before we went to the area tournament, our team had to come over and spend the night at my house. We did that because that was part of ministry. We wanted our students to see, and some of them came from great homes, but we wanted them to see that we knew that they saw us every day in the capacity of teachers, but we wanted them to see us in a different light. And then not only that, we wanted them to see what a, quote, good home looked like. We wanted them to see something that some of them may not have known about. So they would come and we built relationships that way. We still have those relationships now. And then we also required them to come to church with us, and they didn't mind doing it. So as a result of that, that allowed us to minister to them. And even in their own way, they ministered to us because what they got out of it. And then when you go back and look at them now, some of our student athletes and what they're doing now is ministry to me, to see that what we did in such a little small way hopefully made a difference with them. Francis Marion School has just been named, well, we were named a distinguished school, and then, which is one of, I think, 32 schools in the whole state. And then out of those 32 schools, we were named a banner school, which is one of only 8 schools in the state of Alabama. And we had to be innovative. So some of the things that we have done, we do things such as we do a Blast Off Monday program where we have all of our students. I want to, that's another way that I try to learn everybody. Every Monday, I bring all of the students into the auditorium and we have conversations and we talk about those things that we need to work on. We talk about those things that's positive. We talk about those things that are not so positive. What do we need to improve upon? We do a buddy teacher program at our school, so make sure that all of our teachers are involved and supported. We do a lot of innovative things that have gotten us to that point. And then now we're able to go out and share with other schools throughout the state some of the things that we're doing that has made a difference with our school. How do I reach students one at a time? I was just having a conversation with the teacher on this week, and we were talking about, with these uncertain times, what do we do and what can we do? And we're talking about doing some things at our school now, again, trying to be innovative. And one of the things that he was talking to me, and I don't mind being pushed by anyone, and he was saying, we have to figure out a way to get you into the classrooms more to be doing observations, in which I totally agreed. And he was asking, well, what are those things that keep you in your office or don't allow you to be in the rooms? And I thought about it, and at one point when we were trying to work on our brand, one of the things that we worked on is innovatively was discipline. And our discipline has decreased over 50%. And so what happened is now I'm not in the office because I'm having to deal with discipline issues. I'm in the office because now we've built those relationships with those students, and it's not just a phrase to say an open door policy. The students know they can come in at any time. So as I was sharing with him, it's a good problem to have. It's a problem. I'm not out there like I need to be, but the students are in there with me. They're having conversations with me. They're sitting down, they're talking. And so, like I said, it's a problem, but it's a good problem to have.
But it's their choice to be
It's their choice to be there. It is their choice. So I spend a lot of time in my office because there are students in there, and I have teachers saying, well, they always want to come and talk to you. And I always tell them, you know what, let them come. It is okay. Favorite student, I can't say I have a favorite student. I can say favorite students. As a matter of fact, this past year, I have a young man that was, have been in Department of Youth Services several times. Basically, everyone had given up on him. Basically, his mom had given up on him. And he had to come into my office for discipline problems. And I would always sit down and I would listen. My first job is not to teach or to preach. My first job is always to listen. And no matter what, I listen. And then after I listen, I talk to them and I ask them if there's a situation or a problem. Now, how could you have done that differently? So this young man, one day, as he was in my office, and I was like, okay, so how could you have done that differently? And he was basically telling me he didn't know any other way to do it. And so I started talking and sort of in my own way ministering to him, and he sort of broke down and he just cried. And when he cried, you know, he came over and he hugged me. And from that day, he sort of built that relationship with me, and he felt the need to be at school every single day. He had some issues. His family had some issues, but he would always come to school, and I had to basically sort of take care of him at school. I'm glad to say this year he graduated. He graduated from high school. He plans to attend college. He calls me mom, as a matter of fact. So, you know, it's those types of things and those types of students that keep me going. I know I'm at a point of retirement and I should be going home, and when I think about it, I think about those kind of students. That's what keeps me going. Because of what's the name of this award, I really want to make a difference. Every day I get up, I say, you know what, when I hit the floor, I got one more day to make a difference in somebody's life. Every night before I go to bed, I say, you know what, I assess myself. Did you do what you said you were going to do today? Did you make a difference or didn't you? And if I feel like I didn't, I get up the next morning and I say, I got one more day to do it. So every day is a new day to make a difference. It may not be the same child, it may be a different child, or it may be the same child, but every day. And that's the good thing about education and being a principal and being at a school all those days, because every day you get the chance to make a difference in somebody's life.
That's Kathy Trimble of Class 1A Francis Marion, the Making a Difference Award winner for Class 1A. More of the AHSAA Weekly in just a moment.
Uneven floors got you rolling? Ox Foundation Solutions has the expertise and the know-how to repair cracks, wet basements and crawl spaces, and uneven floors in your home. It's time to get strong. oxstrong.com.
The AHSAA Weekly continues this week, and it's time for another Central Board Spotlight. This week, we're going to focus on the Vice President of the Central Board of Control for the Alabama High School Athletic Association. He is from Northeast Alabama, the principal at Spring Garden High School in Cherokee County, and also newly elected as the Cherokee County Superintendent of Schools. Here's Mike Welch.
Meet Mike Welch, Vice President of the AHSAA Central Board of Control. He grew up as the son of a basketball coach and has served as the principal at Tiny Spring Garden for more than 20 years, supporting an athletic program that celebrated state championships in girls basketball and volleyball.
It's been a great honor for me to serve on the Central Board as the son of an educator and a coach. I grew up, with athletics being a big part of my life, and was probably more familiar with the Alabama High School Athletic Association than maybe my teammates or my classmates in school, just because my father was a coach. So I've always been interested in it, and it's just been one of the biggest thrills for me and the greatest honor to be able to serve on the Central Board.
The gym at Spring Garden is named for Mike Welch's father, a career highlight for father and son. He's been a coach, teacher, and principal. Mike is leaving Spring Garden in January to become the superintendent of Cherokee County Schools.
I've tried to be a facilitator in all my roles in education, and by that I simply mean that I just want to help people be the best that they can be. As a teacher, I want to facilitate my students so that they're the best learners that they can be. And as an administrator, I try to facilitate to help teachers in the classroom, to help them be the best they can be. I look forward to that challenge in my next role in trying to help people be the best that they can be for their schools and for their students.
Well, we just completed week number 1 of the high school football season across the state of Alabama, and we're going to take you now around the state to show you some of the great highlights of some of the great games that went on in week 1 across the state of Alabama. And there were some impactful games across the state. We'll begin in South Alabama. A matchup and a bit of a shocker down in Mobile. Mobile Christian and UMS Wright Prep. Mobile Christian ending the state's longest current winning streak at 34 games with a 25-24 overtime win over UMS Wright. This is Alabama commitment Deontay Lawson, their number 8 from Mobile Christian, 51 yards on a fake punt from the Leopards' own 8-yard line. That led to a go-ahead touchdown for Mobile Christian. UMS Wright's Robert Courtney picks off the Mobile Christian pass here, and he scoots 30 yards into the end zone to tie the game up at 14-14. But Mr. Lawson, not only doing it on special teams, but on offense as well. He takes it in for a TD in overtime to put within 1 point at 24-23. Lawson earned the AHSAA Prep spotlight for week 1. He climaxes the upset by running untouched into the end zone on the 2-point conversion on the next play as Coach Ronnie Consol's Leopards knocked off UMS Wright, and the home crowd going wild with excitement as the Bulldogs fell for the first time since losing 9-0 to St. Paul's back in the 2017 regular season. This is Elba and Opp down in South Alabama. Elba quarterback Jaquez Prince accounted for 2 touchdowns in a 59-second span in the fourth quarter to lift Class 2A Elba pass Opp 26-21, with Elba trailing 14-12. Prince threw a 14-yard touchdown pass to John Martin Wilson. Less than a minute later, shown right here, intercepting a pass and racing 47 yards for the game-clinching touchdown. Opp scored in the final seconds to make the final 26-21 in that great game in South Alabama. This is Opelika and Auburn. At Doug Sanford Stadium in Auburn, Opelika quarterback Jackson Bates throws a touchdown strike to Will Beams for an Opelika touchdown as the visitors get on the board there at Doug Sanford Stadium on the turf in Auburn. But Auburn comes back with a nice play themselves. We'll see here in just a second. Carson Yancey going to follow that up with his 3rd interception of the night as he intercepts the Opelika quarterback. You'll see that play coming right here, kind of threw it up for grabs. Yancey runs up under it, makes the interception. Auburn wins the game in dominating fashion over their arch rival from Opelika, 37-10. Meanwhile, at Pleasant Grove, a huge matchup between Oxford and Pleasant Grove. Defending 6A champion Oxford beat Pleasant Grove 29-28. Christian Lewis of Pleasant Grove running right past the Oxford defender for an easy touchdown here to put Pleasant Grove on the board at home. And then Trey Higgins, outstanding quarterback. He's a Mississippi State commitment in baseball for the Oxford Yellow Jackets. He's going to connect right here with Rod Elston. Escapes the pressure just before he crosses the line of scrimmage, gets it out into the flat to Elston for a 40-yard touchdown. Elston takes it into the end zone for an Oxford touchdown. They win the game over Pleasant Grove, 29-28. Down deep into South Alabama, Slocum and Geneva, 2 teams from Geneva County. Timothy McReynolds gallops 80 yards for a quick Geneva touchdown here as Geneva down the Red Tops of Slocum 48-41. This is Slocum's Jalen Noble, a 90-yard touchdown run from scrimmage, the big play in the game for the Slocum Red Tops, as there was a lot of points scored in that game, 89 as a matter of fact. Eufaula, Central Phoenix City, Tigers shocking the Central Red Devils 38-36 at home. That was Hess Horn firing a strike to Rodarius Thomas, who made the catch in the end zone. And this is Horn and Thomas again for a 70-yard touchdown pass with 1:50 remaining for the game-winning touchdown. Horn finished 19 of 32 for 299 yards and 3 touchdowns. In our AHSAA WOTM game of the week, Southside and Hoax Bluff at Barney Hood Stadium in Southside. Southside improved to 2-0 with a 21-14 win over Hoax Bluff. Carnell Davis right here picking up his own team's fumble and taking it all the way in the mud for a touchdown. And some great volleyball action this week up in Northwest Alabama. Addison and Hatton in a 2A volleyball match last week. I'm going to show you some of the difficult points scored here. This game was played in Lawrence County at Hatton. Hatton, a great volleyball tradition. Addison, one of the all-time powers in high school volleyball in any classification. And you can see a good crowd there at Hatton as Hatton and Addison doing battle in that 2A volleyball match last week. And this is some great volleyball going on here as you see 2 of the points there being scored in that Hatton and Addison volleyball game up in North Alabama. So a lot of football and a lot of volleyball highlights from around the state on this week's AHSAA Weekly. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
Hot under the collar because your basement is full of water? Ox Foundation Solutions has the expertise and the know-how to repair cracks, wet basements and crawl spaces, and uneven floors in your home. It's time to get strong. oxstrong.com.
Wrapping up this week's edition of the AHSAA Weekly, as we take you out this week, we're going to take you back up to Barney Hood Stadium in Southside for some more highlights of last week's WOTM AHSAA Game of the Week between Southside and Oaks Bluff. We'll see you back here next week.
Coach Gary Nelson celebrating a huge win tonight for the Southside Panthers. They get the win over Oaks Bluff, 21-14. High school football is back in the state of Alabama, and we are extremely excited to be here each and every Thursday night. Tommy Wood along with Coach Rick Rhodes as we start to wind things up from this classic matchup. 71 meetings between these two schools, and it really measured up to everything we've been told about it.
Well, there's no doubt about it. I mean, the thing that really jumps out to you about this game is how hard it was played by both sides. I mean, it was a physical football game. It meant a lot to both these teams. You could tell by the way they were playing. Of course, you can see Coach with his son. Nothing sweeter than winning a game from your big rival.
You can tell from the highlights it was a physical game. Ball popped on the ground several times. Big turnover there. Oaks Bluff then jumps out 7-0 lead after a touchdown run there. But the defense for Oaks Bluff so strong in the first half, creating turnovers, stopping them on fourth down, coming up with stop after stop. Right here, long pass. You saw that they can air it out a little bit. But you know their strength is the running game, or you can dump it off to your big guy. The fullback barrels into the end zone for the Oaks Bluff touchdown. And the celebration was on 14-0, but got a little speed over there on the other side, Coach.
Well, and a little breakability too. And this really, I don't think the game was ever quite the same after this play. It kind of showed Southside that, hey, we can play with these guys.
And Southside doing a little freestyle right here.
It saved a big loss, and then in the next play, lightning will strike.
Handoff on the left side and taking it into the end zone, Eli Martin. And all of a sudden, it's 14-7 there. Then coughing it up. And on the other end, you make them pay if you're Southside. That man again, Carnell Davis. They respond to tie it up, and that 14-point lead was gone. Second half, more of the same. Physical football. These two teams getting after it. Had a few turnovers. But the battle was on here, and you could tell, as you said, Coach, how much it meant to these two teams. Such physical play on both sides.
Well, you can see how physical the second half was. Ball comes out a few times. Turnovers big in this game. But this is the play of the game right here. You can see everything's covered. Nice little move to the outside, and the experienced senior quarterback lifts his team on his backs and takes them in for what will be the game-winning score. Some turnover problems late in the game. One last chance here coming up, but Southside brings the pressure. A late Hail Mary and almost an unusual play, and a great win for the Southside Panthers.
Coach Gary Nelson wins his first game at Barney Hood Stadium, 21-14 over arch rival Oaks Bluff. They get the win tonight by a touchdown, and what a game we have seen. It's been great, Coach, and enjoyed being with you here on this Thursday night. I look forward to more high school football coming up next Thursday. Again, Greenville and Charles Henderson, our game of the week on WOTM, presented by Ox Foundations. Have a great night, everyone, and a great weekend. And high school football is back in the state of Alabama.
Work so hard just to make this show. Under the lights, it's time to shine. Get your game face on, 'cause this is the big time. This is the big time.
Home making you sick? Ox Foundation Solutions can remedy any mold or mildew problem in your home. Get a free estimate from Ox Foundations. It's time to get strong. oxstrong.com.